always think of how it has to be. Now, Wake Field, Utterman's Field, beautiful. Have no complaints. But it has to be even crazier and more juices to come from underneath to that field. Right there. Even if you don't have seats, you can go along the field and look. How strong is that tradition at Nutley? Native-ration.
The Park Oval is hollow ground. And
How long that's been there? Do you know?
For as long as Nutley High School's been there. We just
is that the only
that's
Nutley High
That's the only football field we've ever had.
Is that the original school that was added on, or is that the original
the
school?
original high school is actually across the street where the middle school is now.
Okay.
And the middle school is where the high school is.
Oh.
So we just celebrated our 100th year of football probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
Really?
And we've never played on any other field than that. But it's we just put lights in, which adds to the dynamic of it.
Yes, it does.
You're in the middle of town right there.
Yes, it does.
And growing up as a kid, like that's what you did on Saturday afternoon.
You wanted to
You went to the Oval.
You wanted
That's
to
what
play
you did. You just went to the Oval, and you know.
You got to give me something about Hudson County. What stadium? That stadium that you have over there? We were speaking of before we were on air. That big stadium that they have over there.
Well, there were a couple stadiums in Hudson County that were,
Iconic.
Iconic. You had Roosevelt Stadium in Jersey City.
No more.
Okay. Then you had Roosevelt Stadium in Union City, which is now the site of Union City High School.
Is that the new school?
That's the new school with the field on the roof.
On the roof?
The field is on the roof of Union City High School. We have to go over there and check it out.
Wait a minute. Wait. Wait a minute. Now, geographically, there's Old Navy and the shopping mall right there. Is that the one you're talking about?
A little bit up
and
the
it's
block.
a banquet hall. It's like on a. It's on
a little
roof?
bit up the block. It's on the roof.
I got to go see that.
You have to go see. You have to come to a game. There's no other experience like Union City on a Friday night. And then you get down into West New York and North Bergen, and West New York had Miller Stadium, which used to have football, which if you ever been to Miller Stadium, used to have a hill in the end zone. So you could stand on the top of the hill and catch a touchdown.
Was that the home touchdown end zone?
It depended. But you either wanted the hill, but the field went downhill, so you didn't know whether you wanted to be downhill or not. So there's a lot of places, and now in Jersey City, there's Cave and Point, which is home to almost every Jersey City school, including St. Peter's Prep and Hudson Catholic. So there's a lot of good stadiums, a lot of good rivalries, a lot of good things that go on within Hudson County, and just being able to now take our teams and play teams out in Morris County and Sussex and Warren gives us a little bit of a different perspective, because like you said in the beginning, Hudson County is very insulated. It's very small,
very
and
tight-knit.
There's not. We kind of feel that nothing exists outside of Hudson County. So now with being a part of 114, it's a little bit different for us.
That's a nice cue that you just said. You could put 114 on that there, and those that are a part of it would understand that too. 114, and underneath you put the SFC. Also, I want to say, being that you all are educators, ex-athletes, and now administrators and things of that magnitude, you had a couple of kids from Memorial High that went to the pros. You had a couple from Mount Clair. You had a couple from Nutley. You care to speak on those kids, if they come to mind?
Well, I mean, in Nutley, there was two. There was Don Shuey, but Benny Hawkins had a 9-year NFL career with the Philadelphia Eagles. God rest his soul. He just passed a couple of years ago. But
Mount Clair?
Well, David Tyree. Everybody knows the catch, right?
You did that because I told you I'm a Jet fan.
Yeah,
It wasn't
I'm
nice.
sorry. I'm sorry.
It wasn't
And
nice.
of course, we all know about his heroics in the Super Bowl.
And still giving back.
Yes, I believe he works for the
Still
NFL
giving
though now.
back. He works for the Giants.
He works for the Giants, yep. And just about 3 weeks ago, Pooch, Quintus McDonald was up at the high school.
I remember him.
Really?
And
I
Quintus
remember him.
came down to the field, talked to the kids in the weight room, and he just wrote a book that I'm in the process of reading. And Quintus, I had the pleasure to coach Quintus when I first got out of college. I went to Montclair as an assistant coach, and he was a man amongst boys. I
Big
mean, he
kid.
could. He was. But you know, I will say this: he wasn't. He played football, he played basketball, and he played track. He was a multi-sport athlete.
But a good guy.
He was a great guy.
Big,
He's
gentle
now he's a
giant.
great man, and he is just a tremendous guy. He played with the Colts, I think, about 5 or 6 years. We had Jeff Mills
Yes.
on that same team. Played for went to Nebraska. Was an All Big 12 defensive end, and then was with the Chargers for a little bit. So we've had some players, that's for sure.
Memorials, pro athletes probably occurred way back in the 50s and 60s. We did have a couple legendary head coaches, Joe Coviello, who was probably one of the most revered coach in the state of New Jersey, and Anthony Ferranola, who was our football coach, was also our baseball, had the most wins
Yes.
of any baseball coach in
Around
the
that Fred
country.
Hill
So,
time thing.
you know, our community is a little bit different. Our strength is in our baseball and our track programs.
Is that because of the authenticity that's there?
You know, our ethnic breakdown and our population. You know, we play baseball, we run track. Football's
Long
good
distance, long distance.
though. Yeah, our former mayor Sal Vega was on had an Olympic trial. He was in the Olympic trials. He actually finished 4th and was an All-American at Tennessee. So, but we play some good football up there. We have some good kids. One of our former players, Jonathan Robinson, has taken his football talents. He went to Penn, went to UPenn, and is now an orthopedic surgeon. So it's kind of using football as that vehicle to get to where you needed to get to.
You know, it's funny, John, that you spoke of that there, because I think the audience understands, or needs to understand, the kids, that you use football as your vehicle to go wherever you've gone, just as you all started with a passion, and then it grew into a love, and then you gave back what was given to you. And this cross is just like music. Music and a smile is international. It has nothing to do with authenticity, geographically where you reside, ideological aspect. It has the fact that it has an effect on you as being a good person, and you give what was given to you. And I would like to applaud the three of you for that there, because if you did this here for monetary compensation, I think we'd be in the bread line. But now we're going to go from that there to speaking of the foundation.
I'm going to actually have Ron do that, because Ron's the president of the foundation, and I'm just a loyal soldier to Coach Anello on that.
Ron, he has that baritone voice. All of us are too,
Yeah.
so we like the temptation, so we let him.
Both Joe and John are executive committee members of the foundation, National
Yes.
Football Foundation, Essex Hudson chapter is what we are. And pretty much, Pooch, what we do is we want to recognize the scholar leader athletes. There's one from each high school in Hudson, Essex County, that's selected by their coach, their administration, and then we honor them at our Scholar Leader Athlete Banquet. And we want to promote what's good about football, because all too often you start hearing the negative stories, the concussion, the players who make bad decisions sometimes with
Please
substance
speak of that, Ron, of how we're going to use John Morant. That's a whole nother sport. But we're going to use that and run with that in the aspect of the importance of you all helping the kids to understand the importance of being who you are, not being affiliated with, and the decisions and the choices you make.
And we recognize kids for all the good they do. And when you hear their bios, it just knocks your socks off what these kids do, how good they are in the classroom, what they do in the community as far as volunteering and giving back, who works at a soup kitchen, who goes to the library to read to second graders and things of that nature.
And school spirit, too.
And school
'Cause
spirit.
there's no school spirit around no more.
Who's the president of the class? And then of course they're good players. Who's all state, who's all conference. It's a well-rounded young person, and we want to promote that. We want to promote all that's good about football.
Well, the great thing that I heard about that there is that everyone gets a shot at the title.
Yeah.
Everyone is recognized, because we all know how important peer pressure was for us. And going from elementary school to high school is an adjustment. But as soon as you go to college or trade school or the military, you have to start all over again. That's not always easy for young people, adolescents. It's not. So it's very important of, as our parents told us, show me your friends and I'll show you who you'll be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think those things that were taught to us, of all of us that had parents that might have been a part of the Great Depression or maybe afterward, understand the importance of those lessons of what they had to go through in this country in retrospect, in order to not survive but to strive. So on that order there, I would like to piggyback on the fact that you all have come up with this foundation in the aspect of bringing popularity, promoting goodwill, they call that good fellowship, to all that are a part of football, which is basically the base, which is a kid's game, but the lessons of it. Can you all speak individually of how the lessons that you learned from football have propelled you?
Well, I think from, we talked a little bit about this earlier, Pooch. Football's a unique sport. It's a team game. And I'm only 1/11th of that team. But I have to do my job to make sure that you're successful or John's successful. And Joe's got to do his job so that I'm successful and you're successful. So it really is a team sport and support of one another. There's no individuals out there. A lot of individuals, like the Tom Brady's of the world, but Tom Brady's as good as his offensive line.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Those are the skill players.
The skill guys, right? So, I love, I think Ezekiel, I can never say his name correctly, Ezekiel Elliott for the
Yes.
Cowboys. I think the guy is a punishing running back. I'm a little disappointed the Cowboys, and I'm not really a Cowboy fan. I'm a
think
fan
you are.
of
Which I
football.
think
Now, I'm
he
a
is.
football
I think he
fan,
is.
but he's only as good as his offensive lineman.
Yes.
So it's the ultimate team sport, and being supportive of one another and being there for one another and holding each other accountable. When I coached, I had a thing, don't be on time, be early. If we have a 2:50 meeting, that means everybody's dressed and ready at 2:45.
But what you're speaking of speaks of how it pertains to life.
Absolutely.
Let's get into that there a little bit, because we also have to take into account the parents. How is it that the parents, it's always seen that it seems to be more participation outside of urban cities than it is for suburban or rural, or should I say residential areas. You all are from basically residential. How is it that it seems that the PTA meetings, the meatball spaghetti parties and things like that there are more prominent? What is this that goes about this here? It starts not with the kids, it starts with the parents, the cohesiveness of their concern for their kids, and how the school and the community again prospers from it and promotes that. Can we speak of that?
Well, I think that, look, everybody loves a winner. You know what I mean? So, believe it or not, like Nutley and Irvington, we have a very good relationship.
They do.
The kids have a good relationship.
But it is a difference.
What's that? But there is a difference.
It is
There's
a difference.
And
They're both the old Big Ten too. Remember that?
The old Big
The
Ten.
Big
Played in
Ten.
the Big
The old
Ten,
Big
yeah.
Ten.
And we cherish that relationship that we have with our coaches are friends with each other. Our kids are friends with each other.
Until game day.
Until game day.
Okay.
And but I watch their community rally around their teams. Their football team's very good. Their wrestling team is very successful. Their basketball team is very successful. So their communities do rally around those their more successful
kids.
teams, and I think that kind of bleeds down into some of the teams that may not be as successful. We say that we leave no Raider behind. You know what I mean? And I think that the same thing goes for any school. Like,
Weekway, any school. But
But
you know what I want to say too, and I have to put this out there, and that is the fact that as coaches, as tribal leaders, these are tribes. It's so important to let the parents know you're welcome. Now, you can't infringe on me because you've chosen me to be your surrogate parent of your child as he's here with me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have him here with us. In that aspect, you're welcome. That's what I want to put out there to everyone, is that every coaching staff embraces the input of the parents or the surrogate parents in the aspect